Welcome back to JavaScript Fundamentals 201. This is lesson 12, and it's the final lesson of this little course. Today we are going to talk about error handling, because error handling is probably one of the most important things that you will cover as a developer. It's not just limited to JavaScript, it's for all development. And the reason why it's so important is because your code is going to fail. I will just say that now. Your code is going to fail. Even if you write the most perfect code, it will fail eventually. Because once you get your code outside of your little protected development environment and out for users to use, things are going to go wrong. And it's not going to be because of your fault, but some issues that the user might have or cause. They might enter some erroneous data, or they might have a network issue that causes your code to fail. There's a whole host of reasons why your code can fail. And if you don't properly handle those errors, then you can cause some frustration to users. Like, for example, if you display some error message that means absolutely nothing to the user, well, they don't know what to do with that message. It might be helpful to you, but it can cause frustrations on the user's part. So if we handle errors, we can display meaningful information to the user to let them know that something did go wrong and that they should try again later, or whatever other response is appropriate for whatever error occurred. So today's lesson is going to be very simple and very fast, but we are going to learn how to do error handling in JavaScript. And it revolves around two little keywords. One is called try and one is called catch. The idea is we want to try some code to execute. And if for some reason it fails, then we catch that error and then do something with it. So I've typed out the basic structure of try and catch. We use the try keyword followed by a code block, and then the catch keyword followed by what looks like a parameter, and it works just like a parameter, and then a code block. And this catch has its own level of scope. So this is very much like its own little function that has a parameter. And of course you can name this parameter whatever you want, and then you can use it inside of the catch block. Well, let's write some bad code. Let's call alert first, and let's say this code will not fail, because that won't. That's perfectly fine. But then let's call the abort function, and let's say this code will fail. And then in case if an error occurs, which of course it will for line 4, we want to tell the user that an error occurred. So let's do an error occurred. Please try again later. And this error object that we have has a message property that we can use to display to the user if we wanted to do so. So we could do error message, and then that will display the message, because it would be good for them to see that message so that we could say, please send us an email and tell us what this message was. And then they could type out that message, or we could display that within a page so that they can copy and paste or whatever. So let's run this within the browser and we will see how this behaves. We first see this code will not fail. So that is line 3. And that code executed just fine, so we are going to press OK, and then it's going to try to execute line 4. Well, abort does not exist, so this is going to be an error. So code execution is going to stop on line 4 and immediately go down to the catch block, and it's going to execute line 6. And it's telling us that an alert occurred, or an error occurred. Please try again later. If we press OK again, then it's going to execute line 7, which is abort is not defined. That's the actual error message that we got from the error that occurred. So whenever we click OK again, then code execution continues on as usual. So if we have any code after catch, then that code is going to execute. So it's very important that you know whenever an error occurs inside of a catch block, code execution stops for that try block. So if we do alert, this will not execute, because it will not execute, because an error occurs on line 4, therefore it's going to automatically drop down to catch, execute all of those lines of code, and then execute whatever comes after the try catch. So just to show you that that's what happens, let's refresh. The code will not fail, an error occurred, that is the error message, and then we're out of the try and catch. Now there is another keyword called finally. The finally code block always executes. So regardless of if there's an error or not, it's going to execute inside of finally. So we can say this is within finally. Let's refresh. We see the code will not fail. The code did fail. That's why it failed. And then we are within the finally. So if we have any cleanup code that we want to absolutely execute after try or catch executes, then we can put that within the finally block. So when do you want to use try and catch? Well, you want to do so whenever there is code that can fail. Naturally, not all code can fail. If you have some type of simple arithmetic, 2 plus 2, that is not going to fail. But if for some reason one of these values actually came from the user, that might be a place where code can fail. So anytime that you are not in complete control of the data that you are working with, that code can fail. So you should probably wrap it around a try and catch. And that in a nutshell is error handling. I said that this was going to be a quick and easy lesson, and there you go, we're done. So first, I want to thank you for watching this course. I hope it taught you some things about the JavaScript language that you did not know and how we use it within the browser. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the forums. I check the forums daily, and I will answer your questions as soon as I can. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave those as well. I'm always wanting to improve what it is that I do. So with that, have a good one. Thanks for watching again, and I will see you in the next course. Take care.